Alright, so in my last video, I talked a little bit about why you shouldn't be afraid of your perceived failed designs. In this one, I'm going to elaborate some more on the subject. I think that the more you limit yourself by wanting for everything to be perfect, the more that perfect state eludes you. I think it's just a fact of life at this point, because there have been numerous times in my own life where I wanted something to happen a certain way, but not only it did not, but also it completely happened in a diametrically opposing manner. So I completely got the opposite result of what I was expecting. So I guess to put it in a philosophical way, you should just let go, right? So why even try to grab hold of something so transitory and fickle? I would say fail and fail miserably in those sketches, because guess what? Later on, you can come back to them with a fresh mind and make better ideas out of them. Even if they're not sketches, even if they are, in your opinion, finished pieces of art and you still don't like them and you still think that they look like crap, well, do not discard them. Do not be discouraged by them, because again, you can always go back, look at them, learn from that experience, and move forward. Because there have been many times in my own life and in my own career, which is not a very long and prolific career, mind you, but there have been numerous times where I was facing similar criticism towards my own work. And one thing I did is, okay, here's what I did here, here's what I'm gonna do next, here's what I did wrong, over here, here's what I'm gonna do right. The next time I'm gonna be tackling the same character, or the next time I'm gonna be tackling a project that is of the same principle, same conceptual principle, right? So even if it's not the same conceptual principle, you can still apply it to most projects. The point here is, do not be discouraged by those failures, those quote unquote failures, right? And again, they are not going to look perfect. As a matter of fact, they will look far, far worse, but they still have that tiny spark in them from their creator, which is you. So you can always go back and nurture those half baked ideas into better ones, okay? So why not try and make those things, even though they may look rough and undercooked? To me, it really doesn't matter. To you, it really shouldn't matter as well. What matters here is to have a sketchbook and keeping a catalog of these ideas somewhere that you can later refer to. Personally, for me, having that sketchbook and putting pencil to paper, so to speak, helps a lot with my ideation process. That tactile feel of paper and drawing on it for me unlocks the creative flow and helps me focus on my ideas. This may not be permanent for me, however, and it may change in the future, but at the same time, it is something that I can rely on for my creative process at the moment. For now, this will have to suffice. As for you, well, try to look for that creative process that most resonates with you. Maybe it's a piece of music, it's a particular genre of music that gets you going. For me, it's rock. Or maybe you need to have your place of abode be in tip top shape, meaning it should be tidy and neat for you to be able to focus on your work. Or you just need a tiny space in a small room somewhere, and you can just go into that, feel cozy in it, and start working out your ideas. Maybe listening to podcasts is what gets you going. It what is basically what helps you be focused on whatever it is that you're doing. Okay, so there are myriad different ways that you can tackle this obstacle, even if you can call it an obstacle, because it really isn't. It's just part of the game, so to speak, right? But I think the first step, even if you wanted to take it a step back, I think the first level here is to just be honest with yourself and ask what it is that makes you comfortable enough for you to create the art that you want to create. Again, for me, I really did a whole lot of searching, a whole lot of soul searching, to be perfectly cliche. And one thing I found out is that, okay, I like listening to rock music while I'm doing my own art. I like the whole sketching aspect of it. So that's why I usually sketch out my ideas on a piece of paper. And it's very rough and it's very loose. But it helps me, it grounds me and my ideas. And then later on, I can execute on those ideas. And it helps me break down the things that I want to do. And even with these videos, even though, well, let's be honest, nobody's watching them, but even with these videos, and they all came from those sketches that I was making. They all came from putting pencil to paper, so to speak. And now I am trying to execute on those ideas. Now, again, the results may differ. It may vary based on the level of experience of the person who is doing them. Some people, maybe they have more experience, maybe they're more comfortable, maybe they're less comfortable. So the results always are going to be varied and different between different people, different skill levels, different mindsets, different ways of looking at things. And that's the beauty of it, I think. It's not to, judge. But I think you will be doing yourself a service if you sat down and started an honest conversation with yourself. See what it is that you want to do art wise, see where it is that you want to go. Of course, have that goal in mind, have those little things in place, right? And then try to see what makes you tick, what makes you actually, what helps you to create art. Again, I just ran through some examples. Maybe there are more examples, but again, this needs to be done by the person who's doing the art. Okay? And of course, coming to the next point is practicing the fundamentals. Fundamentals are always key and they are very important. But do not be discouraged if you see lackluster results. Because trust me, I see them every day in my own work, okay? So, how I would usually go about doing it is I find a particular subject which is hard and it's hard for me to visualize. After I've done it, I still think that is a little bit iffy. So I would refer to my books. For example, the books that I have on perspective, right? Frame Perspective and How to Draw by Scott Robertson, right? These two books, just to give you two examples off the top of my head. Of course, I would refer to books such as Morpho if I wanted to refer to anatomy and other stuff, right? Okay, so I would refer to those books if I come across any problems in my work. But the difference here is that I would actually sit down and try to do the work first. I would try to make the art, the thumbnail, the sketch, whatever. I would try to make that first. And then if I have any problems, if I think that this particular idea that I'm having could be better implemented, if I refer to a book that will help me, I will do that. And I would try to find the subject matter that is closest to the problem I'm having, and I will look that up. I think this way is more efficient. Of course, needless to say, it is much more efficient than just you trying to go through those books chapter by chapter. You may learn a few things for sure, you will learn those things, but I think that in order for you to retain that information, you first would have to do it. And by trial and error and by troubleshooting your way out of it is how you're going to be able to come up with your own process, and you're going to be able to tackle the next obstacles that you're going to be facing using the same principles, right? So I think it helps in the long run a little bit better than just going through the book chapter by chapter. Of course, there's always merit to studies, there's always merit to that. And I'm not going to say don't set aside time. Of course, set aside some time just for pure studies as well. If that's what gets you going, hey, maybe for some people, that's what gets them going. So, again, see what it is that you really like to do, even in your learning process. Because at the end of the day, we're going to be creating art. So, I think we should be having fun while we're at it. So, there's a time and place for seriousness and focus, but there's also time for experimentation and fun. So, while you're figuring out these subjects, these subject matters, try to see if you can draw whatever it is that you like, and then apply those subject matters to the subject matter of your liking, to the thing that you're doing, to the project that you're invested in. I think that way, again, it helps with information retention, and later on, it helps with your visual library as well. So I think it's a win win situation if you really want to look at it, right? So striking a balance between these two, between the seriousness and focus and also experimentation and fun, is what really leads to the fulfillment of the artist. Okay. And one more point before I close off this video is, while I was talking about the different examples for you to find your creative flow, I was also thinking about photography. Maybe if photography is something that you like to do, just studying things, photographs, just going outside when the weather is good, just going outside, taking some pictures of the buildings that you like, of the monuments that you like, or the people that you are with, your friends, you know, taking those pictures, putting them together, being inspired by them. They can inspire you because what we're doing here is basically we are referring to the real world to make a new one, right? So I think photography is also a bona fide way, very solid way for you to get those creative juices flowing, right? And one other thing that I wanted to touch on a little bit is, I don't know if you guys played Red Dead Redemption 2. Maybe you have, maybe you haven't. But one thing that I really found inspiring is that the main character, Arthur, whenever he found something new in the environment that he was traveling in, he would whip out his sketchbook and start sketching. So, if you have like a small sketchbook, it really helps. Other people may think that you're crazy, but whatever. If you are inspired by something, maybe whip out that sketchbook, maybe whip out that camera, and just allow yourself to be inspired by the things that you see in the world, right? And yeah, that's basically it for this video. I hope I made sense. And stay inspired, guys. I'll see you in the next one. Take care and bye.